good blaster at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This episode, we're going to try really hard to be positive and talk about The Last Jedi Blu-ray release, upcoming solo film, and other things that matter. This is Tyler.
This is me, Michael.
Welcome.
And we're super happy.
Episode 66.
67.
No, 67.
That's the other one.
I'm sick. Ignore
We
me.
did that one already.
All right. So,
Positive. All right.
positivity episode.
what's
We're
your
not going to talk about Rebels because there's nothing positive. We're going to try really hard to anything that's said about Solo to be positive.
And
And then we have lots of good stuff to say about The Last Jedi's Blu-ray release.
yes.
That's
All the special features.
Easy to be positive about.
Very easy.
Yeah.
What is your positive story for this week?
My positive story?
Yes. Do you have one?
Do I have? Thanks for doing this on the spot. I'm positive that I'm sick
Yay!
right now.
Okay. My positive story is I am HIV positive.
Oh. That's not a good joke.
No? Oh. Am I supposed to laugh after that to make it clear? Ha ha ha!
Well, hopefully
I'm not HIV positive,
you're
as
not.
far as I know. I'm positive. I'm not HIV. HIV
you
positive.
You can't even talk anymore. All right. So, the Last Jedi Blu-ray has released on digital versions with all the special features and stuff like that, which I feel did not happen with The Force Awakens, right? Like
What?
when it came out digitally beforehand, it was just the film.
No, there was a couple.
Maybe a couple features. It wasn't the full set of special features until the actual movie came out, right? And they
The
started
deleted
loading...
scenes were there for the digital.
Okay.
I think there were a few featurettes.
But then
And
they started
then-
loading a bunch of them after the fact, after the Blu-ray actually came out. Like they started like releasing more of them digitally. I
Really?
remember like there just kept being more special features popping up on the digital version,
Oh, I don't remember that.
like more little featurettes that didn't exist beforehand.
I remember if you bought the Blu-ray, whenever the Blu-ray shipped, you would get extra. Depending on the retailer you chose,
Right.
like each retailer had their own package edition of it or whatever.
Right.
And like the Target one had something about weapons,
Special
I think.
featurettes.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And it doesn't seem like the Last Jedi has that. It seemed like there's just one version, and anything extra from different retailers is just packaging.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to be able to get the full thing right up front. And this is probably the most significant, like,
Special features.
important. I can't think of the word, but it's some of the best special features I've ever watched. After the Lord of the Rings extended editions came out, like
Right.
the commentary in this is extremely insightful. Ryan has an introduction video for pretty much every special feature
Mhm.
in the digital, aside from the documentary and everything. But like he obviously put a lot of time into
Yeah.
introducing things and making sure you're aware of like what the significance of this was and blah blah blah.
Right, and it feels like the most full-featured Star Wars release at first release.
It seems like
Not
it.
like having a second release with more special features or a special version
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
And I wonder how much of that is at the, at the request or at the prompting of Ryan
I would think it is.
of making sure to have that type of content because it's stuff he enjoys or wants.
Yeah. I would think it is because, like I was saying, it seems like, or it's very obvious he cares a lot about the stuff, the extra stuff he wanted to,
Right.
include with this.
Like I know specifically something he had tweeted about was there's a version of the film you can watch where it's just the score. No other sound, no dialogue, no effects, nothing. It's just the film with the score, so you
Yeah.
can just listen to the John Williams music while watching the film.
Right.
And that was something he said, like he tweeted saying like he like asked for that to happen because he really wanted that to be on the release because that was something he wanted to happen. He wanted you to be able to see and just hear John's beautiful music for it,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Do you think that request happened after John talked about not wanting to do Star Wars movies anymore? When did that quote come out? Do you remember that? That was you that told me about that, right?
That was fairly recent from now. I mean, that was only in the last like 2 weeks maybe.
No.
So they would have had all that printed and ready, I would think, before then.
You think so?
I would think so.
I guess if they haven't shipped or printed, like you're saying, printed the physical versions.
Right.
But
And yeah, the physical version comes out March 27th, at least in the US. Digital version's already out in the US. I don't know about other countries because I don't live there. And I haven't looked it up because I don't live there. Sorry.
That is the
else.
most American attitude, probably.
Well, yeah, because something really cool. We were watching the Last Jedi, the director and the Jedi documentary, and there's one shot where we saw a fellow podcaster and Star Wars fan,
Jamie
Hickey of
right?
Of Blob of the Hutt.
I hope we're pronouncing his name right.
From Blob of the Hutt, who is they live in Ireland. They're in Ireland, located in Ireland. They're large Star Wars podcast and blog and stuff over in Ireland.
Yeah.
And we were watching the Last Jedi documentary, and we see him there, like on set, carrying a Thala siren,
right?
Like just as part of the crew, part of the just labor.
Mm-hmm.
And we tweeted him. He's like, "Whoa, where'd you get that picture?" I was like, "It's on the documentary." He's like, "It's not out here yet." That's so cool. So apparently it's not out in Ireland yet. So I do know that. That's the only reason why.
Okay. The U.S. and then the rest of the world.
So it's out in the U.S. and not Ireland. That's the extent of my knowledge. Sorry.
It's a good,
yeah,
good bit of information for the show.
But if you've pre-ordered it, that means the digital version's out in the U.S. So don't buy it unless you want to have multiple copies, because pre-ordering it comes with the digital
Well, yeah,
copy
that's what happened with
well.
me. I got super impatient because, yeah, I mean, people were talking about the documentary and how great it was and how, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is a must-see. So I got impatient. I had to see it.
Instead of waiting another week.
2 weeks.
A week and a half, right?
Not even. Yeah. But it was good. I mean, I'm glad I did it.
No, I mean, I'm
happy
I am too, because I didn't have to buy it.
Don't judge me. I'm happy with my decisions.
Right. I didn't have to pay for it, and then I got to watch it because you came over. So, thanks.
But then, as soon as I left, you found an internet copy.
There was an internet copy. I heard there was an internet copy you can watch.
You think TBS is listening? What are some of the
TBS?
Yeah. What are some of the
Funny Channel or whatever their slogan is?
We have funny characters.
The Laugh Hut.
The Laugh.
I don't know, something with something laughing.
The Giggle Hole. Come to our Giggle Hole.
So what were you trying to say with TBS?
All the people that do the stuff. That watch your downloading.
The FBI? The CIA? What are we?
At TBS.
Okay. Sure. The
You got your FBI, you got your NSA, your CIA, and then you got your TBS and TNT.
Okay, yeah.
And your
USA channel and Bravo.
Characters here.
Is that the TBS one?
No, that's USA.
Oh.
Characters welcome. That's what it is. The
Please.
Characters are welcome here. Not anywhere else. Watch out.
That's why they got all
characters.
The good shows.
It's all real.
Yeah.
It's the only fake place.
So that exists. But you should definitely, if you haven't gotten the movie, like pre-ordered it or bought it digitally, if you haven't pre-ordered it, definitely go buy it digitally now if you can. Otherwise, pick it up because the special features are, like we were saying, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it with the documentary from Ryan yet, but I think you have, right?
What do you mean?
The documentary, or not the documentary? Sorry, the
commentary.
Commentary.
Yes,
with Ryan. You've watched
that. I watched it back with the commentary, and it's really some of the stuff that he says, or that comes up in the documentary. He talks about again in the commentary. But like I said, the commentary is really insightful. It's not the generic, like the thing that we got with JJ with Force Awakens,
where
it was
like someone called him with questions and then he called back and left a voicemail with the answers to the questions.
Right. It was like a Q&A instead of
it seemed like that.
More of like, are we done here now? Like that kind of thing. But no, this was a real commentary with very I keep saying insightful. I've said that like 4 times now. I can't think of another way to say it, but it was great.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth watching. And so as soon as whether you get the digital version or you get the Blu-ray, go watch the movie again, then immediately follow it up if you have the time with Ryan's commentary because it's
Yeah, I
really
still need to
great.
watch it with that.
And he does a lot of, it's not just like on the set kind of behind the scenes stuff. It's also a lot of um here's why I made this decision and here's why I
Yeah,
thought, this scene was important because it leads into this and there's this idea behind it, and like in his mind kind
yeah,
of.
you get that picture of what like his thought process for
Exactly.
everything, which you get in the documentary as well. But just seeing how thought out, how much care he put into making this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, it's
people
incredible.
that want to be I don't know, upset about it or blame him for bad writing, or I don't know, which I know
We've gone
we've
over
said
all the complaints.
we don't agree with any of that.
Yeah.
He didn't go into this to like, I'm gonna shake things up. Like
Right.
the way he talks and the way he everything this is just naturally what felt right for him to do with Star Wars, which I agree with. His choices seemed that they were the right direction to go,
And it was very
even though they were
thoughtful.
difficult decisions to make. But he had a very long thought out. It was very, I don't know. He was methodical with this
Yeah.
is why I want to do this, and it was all part of this plan that he had in his head.
Right.
And
Right.
there was a lot of care and thought, and even and I will probably talk more about the documentary as well. But in the documentary, you can see there's one part where he's talking to his one of his executive producers that he's an executive producer on like all of Ryan's films, Ram Bergman.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking with
Yeah.
him, saying how he was like so worried about something they had like just shot or done, like some decision that he had.
It was the opening sequence he was talking
All
about.
right, yeah, the opening sequence with
Yeah.
Ray and Luke tossing the lightsaber, and he was talking to Ron Bergman about how like
No, I think he meant it's I guess it doesn't really matter what the scene
right
was, but I think he meant the opening scene with the space battle
oh
and
with
all
that.
that. They had something different originally.
Okay, so he was just talking about like how he's like I don't know if it's the right thing. He's like I can't. He's like I feel like it's the right thing to do, but I'm just not sure. Like
Yeah.
so it's not like he was like this is the thing I came up with and I'm gonna do it. Like he felt that concern of this is Star Wars and it's not just mine, and I'm
Yeah.
there's a lot riding on me to do this and for how it's going to be received from people and
Right.
fans,
Right.
which is
Well, it's almost like I don't want to say that the fans' concerns were secondary, but he put
he put Star Wars first.
exactly. He put the characters first. He put where should these people be at this
Right.
point, and where do they need to, or where are they now, and where do they need to be by the end of this
Right.
movie?
Exactly, and it's like you said, it's putting Star Wars first, and it's even though they were difficult decisions to make, but that was what was right, at least, and I agree with that was what was right for the characters, and that was like the natural progression of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Something else. I mean, he talked a little bit about it in the commentary. I guess we can get into the documentary now, but
Yeah.
he talked more in the documentary about, well, not just Ryan, but there were other people chiming in on this too. But Mark's concern with where Luke was
Right.
and how, he was very vocal. Not very vocal, but he was vocal to some degree that he didn't agree with,
Anything that was
Luke.
happening with Luke.
Yeah, with Luke anyway.
Yeah.
Where Luke was at and why he got there and all this stuff. And so the documentary spent a bit of time on that.
There's a good quarter or more of the documentary was they focused on like Mark Hamill's issues with it and doing some interview stuff of him saying how he disagreed with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then behind the scenes stuff with him, if you can see him just not really agreeing with what's taking place.
Yeah.
Even though he's in the middle of shooting it.
Right.
And something Mark Hamill says is like, if it's really good, it's because of Ryan. But if it's really bad, it's because of Ryan. He's like, I have, I'm just, this character's not really my own as much as, he said, this character's not really mine. It's
they just kind of rent it out to me.
Yeah, it's rented out to me. So he's like, if it's good, it's Ryan's fault. If it's bad, it's Ryan's fault. So he's like, I don't really, he's the director.
Yeah.
And I can voice my concerns, but and then by the end of the documentary, Mark Hamill says that it was the right thing to do, type of thing.
Right. Once he saw the finished product, I think.
Right.
It kind of helped him with that.
Which, I mean, all that's
I
been
know.
said publicly since then too, because he was a
Yeah.
little publicly vocal about
Right.
it before,
Right.
and then people thought he was, going back on what
Bashing
he
it.
said, and then people thought he was going back on what he said just because Disney wanted him to, which he's then said, no, it was Ryan was right.
Right.
But he has still continued to say that he really hopes that he's in 9.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah. Right. And I really do want to see him come back as Luke. You know, I know I've accepted at this point he's not going to come back in the way that we wanted him to show up in 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But to have him come back at all, I think there needs to be some closure. And we've talked about this before, but especially because Carrie's not coming back.
Yeah.
I think Mark definitely needs to be there to kind of wrap up this story,
Right.
I think it would be a bad choice to leave him out of it and then try to carry all of 9 on the new characters, especially since it's really just 3 people at this point, right? 4 if you count
4.
Chewbacca.
You got Poe, Finn, Rey, and Kylo, and then Chewie.
Oh, Kylo.
I've already forgotten like
Forgot
the
him
whole
already.
the whole the one evil left in the film.
Okay, I am very interested in seeing how they wrap up Rey and Kylo's story. Like what happens.
There'll
with
be a
that.
Rey and Kylo conflict, and then there'll be a Poe and Hux conflict because Poe's already pushed that to the edge, and Hux already hates him
Possibly.
specifically.
And then there's going to be a Finn and Poe.
Finn's gonna dick around with whatever. Positive episode. Finn's gonna do something. I'm sure that's gonna be great.
That's gonna be great. And
I mean, I don't know what Finn.
Forgot about the positivity.
I don't know what Finn's going to do at this point. But I didn't really. I mean, we knew where his story arc needed to go for 7. I mean, for 8. But I don't know. I guess he's
realized now. I mean, Ryan even says it in the commentary, I think, or at some point in there. He says that Finn is now at the point where Poe was in. But Finn by the end of the movie, Finn comes around to where Poe is.
Okay.
Or like when he's flying straight into the turbo laser or whatever it is, the battering ram cannon, he's at where Poe was at the beginning of the movie, where it's he
jump in and blow
he's all in
up,
for the resistance,
stop,
but he doesn't realize that sacrifice isn't always necessarily good,
right?
But then it takes Rose, it takes Rose to help him realize that that's wrong. So he'll be at the point in 9 where he's kind of matured a little bit.
Yeah.
Some kind of resistance.
It'll be interesting to see what the jump is there, time-wise.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder.
Because if you think about the original trilogy and the time spans, like the time jumps we had between films, whereas 7 and 8, there was 0.
Yep.
There's 0 time jump.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been like back-to-back, constant, this conflict from start to finish.
Right.
So I wonder how much time there will be since the escape from Crate, Kylo training and trying to not be a piece of shit, and Rey training and trying to be better.
Yeah.
Because she could not face off against Kylo at this point, I don't think, and win. At the point at the end of 8.
No, I disagree. That was the whole thing with the lightsaber. They were so equally matched that the lightsaber was suspended exactly in the middle and it broke in half. Like they were so equal.
Force strength wise, they're equal. I don't know, maybe.
I think maturity wise,
it just wouldn't be as interesting of a battle if they fought like they are now. They would both need to learn to, I don't know, mature in their power. Mature
in different ways, I think would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Kylo is just going to become more bitter. And Rey has more of a potential to mature in a more of a wise way.
Yeah.
Especially if Mark comes back as Luke and there's some sort of mentor thing there,
Yeah. But. And talk more about the documentary. I mean, you see, I don't know, it's such a good documentary. It reminds me, like you said, of the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes stuff, like documentary.
Yeah.
How they were, like Brian was like pretty much always mic'd. So this crew was just constantly following around the entire shoot.
Yeah.
and you see, and like talking about the different characters, like you see how like invested they are in their scenes and as characters and as I don't know, as just part of the film. Um, I mean, they are good. They're all fantastic actors, so it's not. I mean, that's like their job, and they have to be good at that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be actors. But I don't know. It's and again, positivity. Just seeing that stuff in the special features of Last Jedi,
Yeah.
it just it has this like just like Lord of the Rings, and that's why I keep thinking about it. Is that like whole? I mean, Lord of the Rings, they shot those 3 films over however many years, and they were like together for years at a time.
Yeah.
So they were a family.
Yeah.
But the Last Jedi, like the set and the everyone, like it felt like that family feel
Yeah.
of like, and I know they've done this before, but it just I don't know, it felt so close knit,
Hmm.
like this this family making this movie. Whereas the stuff you see for the Force Awakens, it doesn't so much feel like that. At least what they give us to see, it may have felt like that,
I
But
think
like what we saw of the
yeah.
Force Awakens, and of course this is again the second movie where they've had time to become more of a family. But I don't know. I think it's just a testament to the way Ryan does things.
Yeah, he was it's very obvious, but he was very involved, very willing to collaborate with people. I
Hmm.
mean, one of the first scenes in the documentary was him sitting down with Mark and Daisy,
Hmm.
um, going over stuff that they were going to do on Skellig Island on Acto.
Yeah.
Um, and like it was taking, was there somebody else there too?
Kathleen was there, and Ram Bergman was there as
Kathleen was
well.
there. Okay, somebody at some point in the scene, somebody threw out an idea, and Ryan was like, "Oh yeah, that's good. I like that." So it was like a collaboration thing. Like he knew that these guys knew their characters well,
Right.
and obviously what he had written was great, as we've seen. But it's not like he wasn't willing to hear what people have to contribute to the
Right.
character that they know.
Right.
So that's I'm sure that contributed to the whole close knit feel of everything.
Exactly.
I was thinking about this the other day too. Going into 9, these guys, I bet it's going to be kind of a good thing for them to have JJ back, because that's who kind of introduced them to this whole world
It's gonna
to
be really
begin with.
interesting. And I
So
have nothing against JJ. I like JJ. I've liked almost everything he's done,
yeah,
and he's really good at what he does. I think.
yeah,
Um, some people would disagree with that, but I think there's that also
well,
probably that
that's the key thing, in that he's really good at what he does. Is the
at
thing
what
that he
he does
does
is
always
his
great?
thing.
Yeah,
And I wonder if some of that, I don't know, lack of close knit or lack of familial, I don't know whatever, is because of who JJ is too. Because I mean, you got to think about the fact that he's like a massive producer as well.
yeah,
He has a production company.
yeah,
He in and of himself is this giant entity. Not as big as Disney films is, but with Bad Robot and being and producing
yeah. He has
films
his
and
own
making films,
brand.
he's like this. He has this whole other thing,
Yeah,
but he's also directing somebody else's movie.
yeah.
Um,
Which he didn't write. I mean,
which he didn't write. Well,
I
I mean,
guess
which
he contribute to the writing for 9?
to 9.
Yeah,
Well, he came in and rewrote it.
himself.
JJ had to. I mean, because that's the problem. That's why they got rid of.
I thought they had a whole writers team though. I know
No,
they got.
him and somebody else, and
I know
he presented a script to Bob Iger.
I know he presented it, but
Yeah,
did he
they like
actually-
did they. I mean, that was the problem. That's why the other director got let go, is because the writing wasn't where it needed. Like they weren't progressing. They couldn't
Yeah.
nail down a script.
Yeah,
And so he came in and they rewrote, or I don't know if they started. They probably didn't start from scratch, but
yeah. I
they
know.
rewrote enough
Who-
to finalize it, to present a script and get it approved to continue.
All right. I know. Colin had, was it Derek Connolly? I think was going to be. He was the main writer for the original script
I think
for
so.
9, something like that. I was just wondering if JJ had a writing credit on that now.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if Colin's gonna have any writing credit on it now.
Probably not.
No,
But Michael Arndt had a writing credit on Force Awakens, right?
I think so.
Because the first version of his script was submitted, and then they went back and changed a ton of stuff, or
Yeah.
completely rewrote it, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was question of as to
Yeah,
whether
he's
they
still-
would include.
And J.J. Abrams is credited too. So it's
The writer.
Lawrence. Well, yeah, that's right. It was Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams worked together on the second revision,
Right.
and Michael Arndt was the first one.
Yeah.
Um,
For 7.
for 7, I'm
Right,
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then JJ and somebody else. He's the writer. I can't remember who the writer was because I remember when it was announced
For who? For 9?
for 9. It was him and somebody else. Yeah, I can't remember, but they came in and had to produce another script to present to Bob and everything. But yeah, like so the whole rabbit trail we got off on that is it'll be very interesting for JJ to come back.
Well,
And
Derek Connolly, like I said, was
Mhm.
the co-writer originally. So far, IMDb just has JJ.
just JJ. It might have just
Then
been
obviously
JJ.
characters by George Lucas, and then Chris Terrio, who
That's
was
it.
the other.
That's the guy I was thinking of.
But he's not the guy who came back, right? Or not came back.
They
Sorry,
brought him
that
in.
came for the second revision.
No, I think
He was
brought
on the
him in.
original.
I think we heard about them bringing him in before bringing JJ in to direct it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Colin was still attached. This guy. Yeah,
they brought him in to help him rewrite it, and
'Cause-
then JJ,
yeah.
and then Colin was gone, and then JJ stepped in.
Yeah, because we were making fun of this guy because he did like Justice League and Batman versus Superman and all these.
Right? Yeah, the movies he had written were not.
Although I think
super well liked.
we also mentioned he was brought in to punch up those scripts, not necessarily write them from scratch.
Yes.
So that was
He had
kind
to
of
come in and try to polish a turd.
Yeah, right. It was kind of a trade off.
Right.
But anyway,
So the whole thing that started the rabbit trail is JJ coming back, which is interesting because he's such this different entity than Ryan is.
yeah, Ryan
so it'll
is
be
very
interesting if it keeps that feel of not, I don't know, of being close knit and being, grassroots isn't the right word, but
well indie. Yeah, Ryan's
indie,
a very
Ryan is
indie-
very indie. Even though he's
is
made
an indie director,
even though he's made
and writer.
big films like Looper and stuff, but he's an indie film and
Mhm.
or indie filmmaker, and it'll be interesting to see JJ coming back where he's definitely not that, and the types of movies he does make are these blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting how the feeling of the movie and the feeling of, I don't know, the making of how it will be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which
I
I
think-
mean, it is, and if you think about the original trilogy, the Empire Strikes Back is that one that's a little more like grounded and, I don't know, gritty. Like not gritty is not the right word either, but just it's more grounded and feels more
Yeah, it's more about the
close.
relationships.
Yeah, the
with
relationships.
characters,
Whereas
yeah.
the first one, there's like, oh shit, all this stuff's happening, and the second one's like, figuring out the characters and doing stuff and being close knit, and then the last one's like, Luke's a badass. He's swinging around on barges and and then he's all this other stuff. So I mean, maybe that's just the progression, the natural progression of having this.
Was
like,
that all Return of the Jedi was for you?
Yeah, I just remember him swinging
You
around
got
a barge.
Luke swinging around on a barge, and you got everything else.
He's holding his sister in her bikini. There's a big sand monster.
That's about it.
That's it. That's the only part I remember.
Some other things happened.
Yeah. Saw that gold bikini. The rest of it was.
And then
I don't know,
Hayden
just blacked
Christensen
out.
shows up at the end. That's Return of the Jedi for you.
Sure. Positivity.
Oh,
So maybe that's what you need for the last movie, is for it to be this not necessarily blockbuster, because I don't really want it to feel like, I don't know, giant, but I guess it kind of needs to be, because it's the conclusion. It's the
yeah.
it's the something's gonna blow up and and a bunch of people are gonna die. Like something big has to happen. It can't just be like, I don't know, more conversations and then they just become friends and that's the end. And then it's like, Sisterhood of the Traveling Force Pants.
It's not called Star Conversations. It's Star Wars. There has to be a war.
Yeah, what? Did you have to change the name of the movies? Star Friends. Star Pals. Featuring characters by George Lucas.
Star Pals. That's like the Muppet Babies of Star Wars.
Right.
Star Pals.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. So going from seeing all that, how it was made in the documentary for Last Jedi. One, I hope we have some features like this for JJ's episode 9.
Yeah, I know.
Because again, it's like, how much time does he even have to have people following him around and like do a making of with the movie?
Yeah.
Hopefully, we have more features than we have with 7.
Yeah.
And maybe that was just because 7 was the first one. They're like, oh crap, people actually want all these extra features. Let's make sure and make that a priority this next time.
Maybe.
Because they didn't release a quote not documentary. What's the commentary? They didn't release the commentary until another release where they're like, oh, we got to dump one of these out.
Yeah.
And
then obviously it was
odd,
super crappy.
And being the last film, unknown if we get any more with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting how much we get of that. I would like more commentaries. Like, I love cast commentaries, especially with those people, because like Daisy and John and Oscar, like those people, they're all really funny people. Anyways, they're very silly, and friends. It's just like when you're watching Lord of the Rings, because that's the best commentary I can think of is the cast ones with like all the hobbits.
Right.
Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's great seeing all their insights and them making jokes, and I love that. So, especially with these people who you see having fun making the movie, I'd like to see them have a commentary too, because I think that'd be really cool.
Especially like you're saying, because this is the wrap up. This is the end.
Yeah, and we don't know if we'll get more stories with these people.
Maybe at some point in the future, but it's not going to be like main saga films like this, I would imagine.
Probably, who knows?
Who knows?
Unknown.
I was telling you the other day that I'm a little sad that The Last Jedi, I think, has raised the bar so high for not only quality of the movie and the writing and the story and just all this stuff, but then now, like we're talking about the special features, it's just raised the bar in so many ways that this is probably the best we're going to get.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
It's possible.
And that makes me a little sad. Not that, I don't know, it makes me sad that, I guess I can't judge anything that hasn't come out yet, but
right.
I don't know. It makes me hope, at least, that that's not true, and this isn't the end of Star Wars, or the peak, I guess, positive. That
the
this
peak
is
of the films, like the films, or just like the release,
the film
stuff, just the films in general.
Because I think eventually we're gonna get, like we saw with Marvel. I mean, you get, obviously not every Marvel movie was great. There were a lot of really throwaway. I mean, Iron Man 3 was just awful.
Yes.
And others.
Others
like that.
There was a pretty hard peaking, I thought, with Ultron.
Yeah, maybe Winter Soldier.
And then one of the best. And
ones.
then now it's come.
Well,
back
yeah,
around.
I was gonna say, so like, you had a bunch of whatever ones, Doctor Strange, whatever, wasn't that great, but then you get someone like Thor Ragnarok, which is incredible,
which is now my favorite of all the Marvel movies that have been released.
Right. And it was just a matter of,
and then,
I guess
Black Panther, which I still haven't seen, is supposed to be amazing. And then Infinity War looks really good.
Yeah, hopefully that's
right.
I don't think it looks that good, but I think it looks like a huge mess. It's gonna be like the Justice League of Marvel.
Yeah, I hope it's better than that, but it looks good for knowing that they need to have that to wrap up all this mess.
It's just everybody. So many characters.
Well, and then they're supposedly rebooting the whole MCU. Not like rebooting it, but like
they're like changing their formula, like how they make the movies.
I don't know, make stories about different characters now, which obviously you can't keep paying Robert Downey Jr. and all these people on these films forever because they're going to go bankrupt doing that. But
I'm sure one of these people are going to show up every once in a while,
Maybe. I don't know.
It's going to be like the end credits but stretched out into a full movie. You don't know who you're going to get at the end, but somebody's going to show up.
So do you think, so what is your worry is that we're peaking Star Wars now, and then we're going to have like so many films with these, the Game of Thrones guys making possibly a trilogy. You've got Ryan making a trilogy. You've got a live action TV show coming out.
Yeah.
You've got,
I'm sure, more things.
Probably other one-offs, I assume, like Solo.
Right.
I would assume that, but that's so weird because Ryan's had a trilogy announced. I doubt we're going to get anything else about that for another 4 years, right?
I'd say not that long. I'd say, what,
next
year?
If one of his movies are first before the Game of Thrones guys, it won't come out for another 5 years.
Next year is 9, right?
Right.
In December. So
I don't know what's after 9 yet.
I would say by the end of 2020, we're going to get more information on.
Do you think Ryan's will come before the Game of Thrones guys?
I don't know. I can't say.
It was called a series. I can't remember if it was ever confirmed if they were doing a trilogy. Whereas Ryan, they said trilogy. They called theirs a series. As far as I remember.
Yeah, that's right. It was something like that. It wasn't
It was the wording
specific
was
number of movies.
vague as to they're doing a Star Wars series. Maybe
Right.
because they probably had a story that Disney was like, yeah, cool, let's do that, and they don't know how much time or how many movies it would take to do it.
So that's interesting. I didn't think about that before. Do you think that means Ryan has a story already that he? Well, he would
Yeah,
have
because
to, right?
there was I think Ryan said, I think it was Ryan or Kathleen that talked about it, where Kathleen was saying, you know, we loved working with him so much, and we didn't want this relationship to end, and then and Ryan was like, well, I have this idea, and they're like, all right, yep, let's do it. And so
that's right.
I guess trilogy was just
he wouldn't throw out an idea of making more movies without an idea.
He doesn't
without a purpose, a reason for it.
As a filmmaker, he doesn't seem to want to be like, yeah, I'll make some other Disney stuff just to get paid. Like he doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Right. No.
And he definitely doesn't come across like that. He seems to, you know, he loves the process and doing it for a reason.
The story.
Yeah, the story. He's such a good writer.
Yeah.
That, you know, without an idea, I doubt he'd just be like, yeah, I'll make a movie. Let's just come up with something to get a paycheck.
So do you think
some guys do?
Do you think we'll get alternating Game of Thrones people and Ryan
just
movies?
Like have this back-and-back trilogy, like these two trilogies that are just like getting one and then the other, and then
you think that would be too
track them?
Do you think we have to have kind of linear stories like we've had so far, where it's like a, you know, have kind of in the Marvel universe, it's you have
here's this guy's story, let's tell that, and here's this, like, or what, how
how
there's that through line through all of them,
exactly.
Like with the MCU.
Right. Do you think we have to have, well, and specifically with Star Wars, we've had this linear story so far that's all been, you know, everything ties back to the Skywalker saga. So do you think?
Yes.
So do you think, like with Ryan's trilogy, we're gonna have to finish that out before we get something else, or are they gonna?
I don't
all tie together into one big thing, or
I don't think so, and I don't think they have to tie together.
I don't think they would mix.
I don't think they're gonna relate to each other in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, but do you think they would mix?
They're not gonna see. So I think that's probably why we don't know what else is happening yet. Is they're probably trying to figure out this whole movie a year thing is getting real dicey.
And I don't know.
Because they've had an issue with Solo, and I don't think they're banking on that movie doing well.
They've had other issues. It's the one-offs that have been kind of
troublesome,
touch and go. Yeah,
right. So but they're doing so much, doing a movie a year.
Yeah, and
even the MCU, it's like 4 movies a year because you've got so many other characters, and then they've got to have a group movie and then a group movie. So you have like 6 different groups that have had group movies, and you have to have a group movie with all the group movies to have a master movie. That's just a bunch of people running across the screen, just like, so you know they're in the movie.
Get to the point where you're just cutting to people.
Just the whole movie is just scenes of people running, just so you can see each person.
This guy, and then there's this guy, then there's this lady,
right.
And then there's this guy.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's why we haven't gotten any other information after post 9, because I mean 9 comes out the end of this year, right? Or not this year, next year.
Next year.
Right. It comes out the end of next year. 19. And you've got Solo this year, so you've got a year and a half break at least.
Yeah.
With Star Wars movies then. I wonder if they're waiting to see how well Solo does, or if they've already just written it off, because I think they know they're gonna have a problem with it.
I was gonna say I think they're gonna make all their money back, but I wasn't thinking about reshoot. All the money they spent on reshoots.
Who knows? So I wonder if they're trying to figure that out now. You know, they've got like a slew of 50 movies in the pipe, it seems like, and having a Star Wars movie every year is so oversaturated.
Yeah.
And as a fan, it's hard to say that I don't want that. So I'm just like, yeah, just slather me in Star Wars. Just rub it on me.
Well, okay, here's the thing.
But at the same time, like, I don't want them to just dump out Star Wars for the sake of Star Wars and a paycheck. I want it to have purpose.
At least some meaning. At least make it look like you care about the stories you're telling.
So it's hard. Like you said, will they just like have the trilogy and there be a movie every year for Ryan?
Yeah.
And then maybe a break, and then there's the next trilogy where there's a movie every year for the Game of Thrones guys.
Yeah.
And then whatever, and then maybe some one-offs in between and around.
Maybe.
So like Ryan Johnson trilogy, where you've got one movie, the next year you've got a one-off, then you've got the second movie in the trilogy, then a one-off. Mm-hmm. But again, that's a movie a year. And how many one-offs can the one-offs ever stray from the Star Wars saga? And if they do,
Wait, what? The Star Wars
so
saga?
like you said, every movie so far is tied to the Skywalker saga, like the main saga that started Star Wars.
Okay,
All the
so
one-offs and everything have tied to that.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a point where there's not a trilogy like Ryan's or a series like the Game of Thrones guys, where it's just like, here is a Star Wars movie. It has nothing to do with any of this. Just have a Star Wars movie.
It's gonna be hard not to tie it back to the Skywalker saga because those
Right.
all the characters that we know are from that.
Right.
I don't think we're gonna get a Star Wars movie with a bunch of characters we don't know.
Until Ryan's, at least, because he's specified that it's going to take place in a place we've never seen with people we don't know.
Interesting.
But can you do that? Can you do that with a one-off? Because you'd have to introduce a whole new thing,
Right.
tell a whole new story, and wrap up the whole new story.
It'd have to be pretty simple idea. Here's
Right.
the thing. I don't want oversaturation, like you're saying. I agree with that. But I think if you're gonna saturate it, do other media like TV shows.
Well, yeah, so they've got a
have it
live
be-
action coming.
Right. So more of that kind of stuff. More animated series.
Please
that
give
have
someone
been-
else the video game license so
Yeah.
they can make an actual game and stop canning all the good ones.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I guess TV is really what I'm hoping for here. I really hope this Jon Favreau TV show.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot
That it was Jon Favreau?
Did we talk about that last episode? Maybe, or was that announced last episode? I can't even remember.
No, actually, yeah, we haven't discussed
I
that
completely
on
forgot
here.
that he was the guy that's going to be
Yeah, so
working on
it was announced recently that
creating, at least.
and I think helping write some of it.
Right.
He's Jon Favreau is going to come in and direct a live action streaming show.
He's going to be the showrunner for the live
a
action.
live action show that's going to be on Disney's new streaming service.
Yeah, so he'll be the creator and
he's
at
like
least the
executive
showrunner for
producer,
it, right?
Yeah, showrunner, right?
So he's not going to like direct every episode. He'll probably do like the important ones, just like any other show.
Right. They'll probably have other directors come in, guest directors or whatever, writers, a bunch of writers and stuff.
Which, I mean, I'm excited about that. I like Favreau.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff, I want to see more of that. I don't necessarily like I think I've
But then you
mentioned it
think
on
about
here
the
before.
Marvel series where, again, they had character, group show.
Yeah.
Character. Maybe we'll get another Defenders at some point because we've got Jessica Jones season 2's already come out.
Yeah.
And I know another season of Luke Cage is coming out.
Yeah.
I think they're doing another of Punisher and another of Daredevil.
Really?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. But then again, it all culminates in a
I'm not
group
necessarily
fight.
talking about that kind of formula. I'm just saying if you're gonna have new stories and new characters and stuff, I don't
Have it in a format.
I don't really like the whole media blitz every year, the cycle that we've kind of been going through for the last
have it
couple
in
years.
a long form media like TV.
Yeah. Right. Where you've got time to tell long stories. There's a little more freedom to experiment. It doesn't have to be, you could have a mediocre episode every once in a while, an experiment with different ideas and feelings and plot lines and all kinds of stuff.
Genres.
Right. And it doesn't have to be like the thing with Solo. It doesn't have to be, you make sure it's perfect by the time it comes out, know? That's all I'm saying. So if you're going to saturate it, do it in other media.
Yeah. And
Don't
of
make
course,
it
they still have the comics and all that going too, but that's all still tied to
and books, which have been excellent, like we've talked about.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway,
and again, the comics are all still tied to the Skywalker saga as well.
So far, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, and it's weird, and of course, I'm sure we've talked about it before, but everything, like we said, is tied to the Skywalker saga because that's all we know, and that's what we have a basis in to build off of without having to create something entirely new and then build it and finish on it. And you, like you said, it's probably really hard to do that in one movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm sure there's a fear of doing that because fans seem to or may only want stuff tied to what they know and don't want anything new, and will probably might reject it just off the bat.
Well, see, that's the thing. You've got to let go of that. Like we saw with Last Jedi. We've talked about it before how we wanted, just as fans and being invested in, like Luke, for example, for so long. You go into Last Jedi thinking you're going to get a certain version of Luke and he's going to do certain things,
Right.
and it doesn't happen that way. It is a little disappointing,
jarring and disappointing, or world ending for some people.
for some people, but I'm saying for us, it was a little disappointing, but I think we realized.
I understood why.
Exactly. We understood why it had to happen. It was the right choice.
I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know what I needed.
Sure.
And The Last Jedi was what I needed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what needed to happen for the characters.
Right.
Whether I liked it or not, I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Having had it happen.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's good writing, and that's a good progression of character, and
Right.
having arcs, because I think we talked about this last episode with just like Obi-Wan. His arc was basically like, old man Jedi, grumpy, doesn't want to help, helps, dies pitifully.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah, it was just like dies to save everyone, basically, with the kind of just like gives up, sacrifices himself. And that's totally what Luke's arc was here.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's cyclical because it's the formula almost, if you will.
Sort of, yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense, and it built up the character in the story. And Carrie's death was unfortunate, and I'm sure messed up a lot of where that was headed.
Yeah.
But it made sense.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got to either people have to learn to let go of all their assumptions about this stuff,
right,
and their expectations,
mm-hmm.
or all those fans that can't do that just need to go away. Right. So I don't know. The documentary.
And I mean, that's exactly what we were saying about Rebels last episode too, where it's like, either make a thing that's not tied to Star Wars, or that's tied to the Skywalker saga, or make a thing that's tied to the Skywalker saga, but towing the line is so difficult and doesn't seem to really help anything.
Yeah.
Like, either do something new or don't, but towing the line and going back and forth and just muddling the water doesn't really help.
Right, because if you're riding the middle like that,
you have these expectations.
You can experiment, but you, as a fan, you start to expect, but they're going to have to bring it back to
you have an expectation,
story.
And you have a point where you have to do something because of it being tied to the thing that already has happened.
Exactly. Right. There isn't as much freedom, it seems like.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope the Game of Thrones guys, I wonder if something was pitched to them because of the idea, or if they had an idea that was pitched to Disney.
I don't know. It's going to be
because
interesting.
Having done Game of Thrones, I really hope they get a the Knights of the Old Republic or something something old, something that whatever happens, like the outcome we know, but like whatever anything else could happen because we really don't have a deep history in it.
Oh.
To
get some stuff
get something Old Republic with like the Jedi Wars or something like that. Like, especially with the Game of Thrones guys, like they do that. They do that battle and the
more of the fantasy end.
They do the fantasy with the storytelling, and of course, like the Jedi War would be just a magic battle, anyways. It's like a wizard battle, basically. So I mean, I wonder if they were picked because of something like that. Because it's like, oh yeah, these guys know how to do that and they've done it well.
That would be really cool.
Or if it was like they had an idea, which again, I don't know. If they had the idea, maybe they want to get away from doing stuff like Game of Thrones. But I really hope they were picked because they're like, okay, we want to do this thing. And it's this crazy, more fantasy than Star Wars has been, as much as Star Wars is fantasy.
Yeah.
Which, fingers crossed, that's like, as soon as they were announced, I was like, I really hope they get Knights of the Old Republic or Old Republic, Jedi War, something.
History of the
Magic
Sith.
Space Wizard battle.
Something like that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that would be so cool.
And it would be such a great opportunity to pull from the EU and all this amazing stuff that we've had that we're not really sure.
And everything that happens there has nothing to do with the Skywalker saga because it doesn't. Right. It has to do with the Jedi and the Sith, but that's literally it.
Right.
Anything else could happen.
Right.
As long as the outcome is that the Jedi won.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the only requirement is the Sith can't win because history.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it doesn't matter.
Right.
Which would be super cool.
It would be cool to get a like if they have to tie it back to the current saga for some reason, to get like a Darth Plagueis biopic.
Yeah.
And then I mean it's kind of hinted, we've talked about it before, but it's kind of hinted that he was Sidious's master.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, they don't explicitly say that, right?
In the prequels,
it's very strongly hinted.
Right.
because of the story and everything.
And then the EU is that,
The Sidious
Sidious
killed
tried
Plagueis.
to kill Plagueis and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
So, I mean, you could do
Anyway.
something like that. But of course, that would tie back to. So, I guess loosely tied to.
That's what I'm
the
saying.
Skywalker
If
saga.
they have to do that, I think that would be a good opportunity for it.
Right.
The documentary is excellent. Please go watch it. If it's the Blu-ray comes out in a week pretty much now.
Yeah, March 27th in the US.
About a week. Yeah, for the US.
If you haven't read the Last Jedi novel, you really should. The expanded edition is what it's called, or expanded edition or extended edition.
Expanded.
I think it's expanded. It's really good. It has a lot of extra stuff in it.
Yeah, you have an excerpt.
The first 3 chapters is new stuff. It's like there's like this alt history like dream Luke has of like what would have happened if he had not gotten the droids, if he had not kept the droids and gone through all of that.
Yeah.
And then there's like some extra stuff with Rose and Paige, like adding a little more characterization there, and and then there's a like memorial for Han.
Okay.
That Leia is basically forced to perform when she doesn't want to because they got to get out.
Oh.
Because like
it was on what's it, Dakar?
Yeah, it was on Dakar while like all the ships are being loaded in the background.
Oh,
and she's like having to give like this memorial to the officers because I think it was Akbar or someone else was like, you have to do this.
Like, because he was a general. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
But the end of the book, there's this horrible moment, which I say horrible because it's super emotional and sucks. I just wanted to read this excerpt because I thought it was really good. At the end of the movie, it's after they've all gotten on the Falcon and left Crate, but it's before she's talking with Rey about the future or all that.
Yeah.
So it's I'm just gonna straight read it. Chewbacca sat in the co-pilot's seat, his hairy hands drifting over the controls with a grace that belied his size. The Wookiee chuffed in amusement, then indicated she should take the pilot's seat because Leia had walked into the cockpit. Han's seat. Leia's steps carried her to just behind the chair, but no farther. She stopped with her hand on the seat's back. Chewie, she said, then stopped, needing a moment to control her emotions. Luke gave his life for us, to buy us time, to save us. Chewbacca's hands slowed on the controls, then stopped. The Wookiee whined, a small sound almost lost deep in his throat. His hands fell into his lap, and he slumped in his seat. Leia's hand settled on his shoulder as she gazed out through the viewports, remembering. Chewie had been in the same seat the first time she'd entered the Falcon's cockpit. She remembered the chaos, being pressed into service as an extra pair of eyes and ears during the frantic flight from the Death Star. With the last of the Imperial sentry ships destroyed, she'd flung herself into the startled Wookiee's arms, elated by their unlikely escape. They'd sat side by side during many long watches on the agonizingly slow journey from Hoth to Bespin, unsure if the Rebel Alliance had survived, and once again when they doubled back to Cloud City to rescue Luke. And here they were again, so many years later, so many years and so many losses. It's just us now, Leia said, but we'll find a way. She realized tears were pooling at the corners of her eyes and tried to stop them, irritated with herself, but it was no use. She stood silent and still as twin lines of tears ran down her cheeks. Chewbacca looked up at her, his blue eyes bright. He saw her face and rose from his seat, towering over her. She tried to tell him she was all right, but the words wouldn't come. He reached for her and folded her against his chest. Leia buried her face in the Wookiee's warm fur, clinging to him, and finally allowed herself to weep, to surrender to the grief that had filled her to overflowing. She wept for Luke, and for Han, and for Ben, for all those they had lost. Chewbacca made no sound but simply held her, his embrace surprisingly gentle. They stood like that, Leia's chest heaving until she was able to master herself and step away. She stared out into the infinity of hyperspace until her breathing was slow and regular again, and she knew she was ready to be what the people waiting in the Falcon's hold needed her to be. Huh. It's really hard to read.
Yeah.
It's like, and obviously you can't end the movie on such a sad moment. But I love that. I love the fact they add stuff like that in the book. Because if you remember, her husband and her brother died within 2 days.
Yeah.
Or maybe, it's like 48 hours, basically.
Yeah. Not to mention her brother that's been estranged for years.
Been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
And then reading that now, knowing that Carrie is dead.
Yeah.
And that's where that character is left off.
Yeah.
Of in this horrible place of her husband's gone, Luke is gone, Chewie Chewie and her are all that's left of what started this.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was just like, my heart broke.
It sucks.
It's really, really sad, and I really hope they do justice to her.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they will, because that was the whole trouble with the script, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if that's an indication, read the book. There's a lot of care was put into adding, character stuff like that, and just things that you couldn't, like I said, it would be horrible to end the movie on the sad note of her and Chewie crying in the cockpit, and that being the last thing we see of Leia before, which they wouldn't have even known. That would be the last thing we'd see of Leia before Leia's no longer.
Yeah.
Pick up the book and read it, because it's not just, I don't know, it's not just the translation of the film. It's not the subtitles printed out in a book.
Right.
It's a very well written and well added to version of the film.
Right. Yet another thing that Ryan, along with Jason Fry, have taken a great care to stay true to the characters and to add to the story where it needs to be, or not add, it's expound really, upon things.
It's really, really good.
Need to be expounded upon. Yeah, I haven't started it yet, but I will.
Yeah,
it is a book after all.
Michael will read it within the next 4 years.
Still haven't started Aftermath.
Jesus. You suck.
All
right, I think that's been enough of an episode, and fairly positive.
I think for
us,
what we usually do.
For what we do.
Yeah.
For our shtick.
It's been pretty positive.
Shitting on things and each other.
Unfortunately, we still rambled a bunch, so we can't say that.
What else are we going to do? If not us, then who?
We should get some guest hosts in here.
Someday. We'll never actually run out of things to say. We'll just ramble forever.
Hey, if you want a guest on this podcast,
come on over.
Come on over. Good luck finding us, but
find us
if you can.
Find us in the recording hole.
You could sit here. Yep. Didn't we have a cave at one point?
We had a cellar, I think.
We had a cave. It was some
kind of cave.
Cave of Wonders. It's gone now. We've moved. We're in a different place.
So if you find that's not where we are. Well, if you enjoy the podcast, please go to iTunes or other places that have reviewing portals and leave a review and or stars or asterisks or whatever they have for Scrabbles. I don't know.
What are you saying?
Please leave us a review. It helps people to find the show.
Are we on Tumblr?
Helpful. And if you have legit criticisms, why was I about to say that? If you have legit criticisms, leave them in a review or email us, because we do want feedback. If there's something you enjoyed that we've done in the past or something you'd like to see us do, you can email us at asklobot@hokireligion.com. I almost forgot our email. So asklobot@hokireligion.com. And if you like the show, like I said, leave a review on iTunes or elsewhere so that other people can find it and see, hey, at least one person liked that show.
Do we have Tumblr?
We do have a Tumblr. It pretty much is just the episode posts, because I don't go there. We do have a Instagram now with a few posts.
At Hokey Religion.
It is at Hokey Religion.
The thing that we should have gotten on Twitter.
No underscore. But our Twitter is Hokey_Religion, because there's positivity. There's another guy sitting on that name, and we want it, please, sir. But you can also find us on Facebook and YouTube and wherever else noises and, sounds and pictures are made. You can also find us if you really, really enjoy the show. You can go to patreon.com/hokireligion, and for as little as just $1 or more, you can a month you can support the show. For just $2.50, you'll get a sticker. We'll mail it to you. So do that.
Yeah, mail it.
We'll mail it to you.
We don't even have to come to your
United
house.
States Postal Service.
This isn't an email.
We'll email you a sticker.
This is a real mail.
We'll mail you a sticker you can print on sticker paper and use it. Good luck. No. Yes. Patreon.com/hokireligion.
We'll mail you the sticker paper and then email you the sticker, and you have to print it on the paper that you get in the mail.
Use your own inkjet. No, we have nice, high-quality stickers. So go to patreon.com/hokireligion, and just for $2.50, you'll get a sticker.
Order a sticker for 1 month.
Right.
Basically.
Anything more than $2.50, you'll get a sticker. So just, do that.
All right.
And I think that's it.
That's about it.
So
good positive episode.
Hit us up on email or Twitter. Thanks. This has been Tyler.
This has been me, also Michael.
Goodbye.
And that is me. And here's the theme music now.
And outro.
Wookiee religions and ancient weapons. Wookiee religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.